Hey y'all, so I want to catch you guys up on what's going on with me and subsequently what's going to be happening with my channel in the next coming weeks, since there's a hurricane on its way, as I mentioned in my last video. So I am going to continuously pre-record videos for this week and next week, so that I have something that goes up. Not 100% sure or guaranteed that I will, just because every video that I put out, I want to be in a sincere frame of mind as I record. So I need to make sure that I'm in the right mental state for that, and that I get the most accurate information and I come from a place of sincerity and not obligation, or like my own mental obligation to put something up, you know? And so I'm gonna make them pick a card reading, since those are definitely timeless. And I'm going to, these are my intentions, obviously. There's one other subject that I want to talk about that's been on my mind for a couple weeks now. So I'll probably do a video on that, and so that's what's going on with that. So now I'm just going to talk about random stuff that's been going on with me, or like in my mind, and then I'm going to start preparing, because the wind is picking up here. The outer bands are already reaching me. So speaking of which, I'm concerned about this hurricane. I think they're underestimating it, if I'm honest with you, because, you know, maybe I'm the wrong one to assess this as far as intuitively, because obviously I have my animals that puts me in a more protective state, and just, I guess, being in the range of fire for this hurricane, I might feel a little bit more like I want to be proactive. But the way that officials and forecasters are stating this at the time of me recording this, it feels a little bit like they aren't really too concerned about the impacts. Maybe more so if it were going to have a direct hit on Tampa Bay. But even then, it's more of like, well, just move across the state, like get into the other side of the state and you'll be fine. As far as like whatever happens to your place and flooding, obviously we'll be okay. We can rebuild it. And that's a really good perspective to have. And obviously they don't want to overextend and panic and inconvenience people, and business has to keep running, right? You have to keep the infrastructure going. But I just feel like it's gonna be unprecedented, or like unpredictable. Like, I just don't think that it's gonna go as planned. Not that it ever really does go as planned, as far as like the trajectory of hurricanes and intensity, but that's just my feeling, that it's going to be more intense than people anticipated. And so if you're in the line of this hurricane, I would suggest that maybe you take a more intense stance when it comes to it, and really like leave if you can, because I'm leaving the state completely. They said not, you don't have to. They're like, oh, you'll be fine, you know. But I'm gonna completely leave the state, and you know, my animals, they have to be comfortable in this situation, and with like the tornado spawning off of it, it's too unpredictable for me. I just feel like it's gonna be really, really, really powerful. Hopefully I'm wrong though. Hopefully I'm wrong. But anyway, something else that I wanted to say before I go. This is gonna be super weird and crazy. So I talked to my friend about this recently, and I'm like, do you think that I'm crazy for thinking this? And they're like, yes, I absolutely do. They're like, that is just, why do you think that? What is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. So hopefully someone out there, this resonates with you, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been thinking this. Or I have no idea. Okay, I really don't know. I'm kind of nervous to say it again, but I recorded a video last year on July 4th. I don't know. I think I might have recorded it the 3rd or the 2nd. I want to say it was the, I don't know, but I know I released it on July 4th because I went back and checked. I didn't watch the video again, but as I talk about it, I can recall bits and pieces of it. So it was on Joe Biden. And around that time, I got this strong feeling that there was a medical emergency. And the reason I was feeling this way is because I was seeing metal, like a clinical environment where it's like all white, clean, you know, like it feels very clinical. Like, you know, in hospitals it has that like very cleaner type of scent. It's like that. And again, metal, like I feel metal, like metal around me, kind of like the metal bars, and just like softness, like the way it's painting a picture of a hospital setting. Now, I don't know what any of this technically means. This is my interpretation of those things, was that he had a medical emergency. I don't know what it really means though, right? But basically, long story short, what the conclusion that I came to was that he had passed away last year. I don't know if his body, like if it feels like distance from his body, okay? Where his mental state or his soul state is crossed over already. It has already moved on. It is in the process of healing. It's in the process of reassessment. It's in the process of moving towards the light. And why is because there's someone who had a daughter that the way that he perceived this daughter is a very innocent form, and it feels like it could be his soul family or soul mate that had incarnated into this young daughter. There's nothing weird going on, because I know there are these things coming to light about that, but it's not anything like that. It was like this energetic spark of innocence that reversed his decision making, because he comes, this is what I've picked up on, is he comes from generations of this life of how do I put it? I mean, you guys know. I mean, you guys just complete my sentence for me, okay? And, well, basically just people of positions of power that are not coming from a sincere place. And he had already dedicated himself to this path. As Joe Biden, he already dedicated himself. He had promised himself that. He had sworn himself into this group of people. That is his character. That is who he became. That is what he was dedicated to. And that's the voyage that he chose in this life. And so he has a saving grace. He has this individual who incarnated in this life. It's a young girl, is the way that's being represented to me, that changed and softened and reawoken the healed part of him, his soul, his genuine part of him, because he's cloaked in darkness is what I see, right? This organization or organizations that he's a part of, the generational organization that he's a part of, is cloaked in darkness. And so and then my interpretation is, as he mentally crossed over, he had chosen this like soul connection to go towards the path of healing. So he's choosing a different path as he crossed over, because when people who are in these organizations or in this choice, like even just dark-sided people who are into demon work or witches and all, like dark witches, all of that darkness, right? It doesn't even, even if you don't attest to that kind of stuff, if you're working for Satan unknowingly because of just the way that you are, as you cross, you make choices that are more aware. And so there's a lot of interception that could try and keep you away from that journey to re-heal, or to like reflect on your next path, and so on and so forth, to keep you bound. Okay, and that's kind of the whole process too of like people on earth and the dark choices that you willingly take. You basically give up your free will of like, I'm just gonna do what I want to do, or whatever kind of like lower frequency thing. It's a trick on your soul, right? Because you are granted free will, so you have the ability to choose to do things that will benefit your soul's growth, your soul's path, your soul's journey, and everyone else, just by following your own journey, because that's a higher vibration. But it also, if you choose to be more of the light, or like God's source, right, then that means being loving, forgiving, helpful, so on and so forth with others. And that's a release of you from being tricked into staying bound to earth and essentially becoming slaves to evil, which not everyone, like, I'm oversimplifying it as usual, but obviously like people come here for other reasons, but you know, there could be distractions along the way. And sometimes, not sometimes, I mean, it's kind of my belief, everything's kind of, irregardless, it's going to happen in God's plan, in God's time. You know, he is. That's what I'm going to say. Like, he is. He's going to just do it. Anyway, moving on. So, back to Joe Biden being dead. I don't know, okay? I know that sounds like so out there. And why is she bringing this up a year later, right? I don't know. I was thinking about it like 5 days ago or so. Like last week, like towards this past weekend. And like maybe before that. I'm like, I couldn't shake it from my mind. What the heck? My dog just squeaked. She must be picking up on someone's smells that she likes, because my doors are open. So anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh, so I talked to my friend about this, because it kept tugging at me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't shake this feeling that he's not here. Something's gonna happen, you know? And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, maybe they're going to make an announcement. Maybe they're going to do something. And so if I believe that he's gone, then that means I need to identify why they chose this particular day of whatever announcement happens as the day that they announce it. Like, there has to be some symbolic meaning, or if it's like some, like it doesn't even have to be symbolic, right? Like it usually always is. But in addition to that, then it would be a strategic move against or for other organizations or like world events, right? Of why that is in particular being used. And so I was thinking back again, and there was a vision that I got of him recently where it was ashes. Like, what does that mean? Does it mean that he's cremated? Does that mean that he's gone? Does that mean change? I don't know what that means. So of course, that's why I want to be very clear with you guys. Well, I don't know if I'm being clear, but more clear with you guys of what I'm seeing, so that you can kind of make your own interpretations, or if you have some intuitive nudge towards something, or a psychic insight, or someone you know, or whatever I don't know, then maybe this would make sense to you, because I have no idea why I'm feeling this. so intensely. And so I told my friend, they're like, yeah, you're crazy. And how would you explain this whole past year of him going to events, making announcements? And I'm like, it's got to be CGI. It's got to be CGI and special effects. Like, they have to have people that are masking as Joe Biden. And then my friend was like, well, what about all of these like him having issues, you know, they're publicizing him having issues. And I'm like, I didn't say this, I was like, I don't know, but I was thinking in my head, I was thinking like, well, isn't that kind of, it's like a distraction, right? Like, it's a decoy for people, because why would you think that he's dead if they're publicly making a fool of him, right? Like, he's doing all these things, like falling off a bike, saying things, stuttering, stammering, saying things inappropriately, doing things inappropriately, like all of this stuff. So why would you think that the real truth of him not even existing anymore, him passing away, would even be real, right? So it's a decoy. That's what I think. I'm sorry, I think this, I can't help it, I don't know why, and I could very well be wrong, so don't quote me on this, because I'm just telling you how I'm interpreting it, and I don't know why I'm interpreting it this way. That's the thing. And so I'm thinking, like, if I'm wrong, why is it coming through in this way? I don't get it. And so the other thing I want to mention too is, like, if you were thinking, well, you know, he might have dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever it is. The thing is I've done readings for and about people with mental degradation of different kinds, and even people who've been in comas, and each one comes through differently, but I can tell when they're present, right? Like, if you're suffering with Alzheimer's or dementia, you're still here, you're still present. It feels frustrating. It feels like it's a frustrating energy of, like, confusion and just all of that. But you're very much still present. And that's not to say that every single person's that way, and that's not to say that I could, you know, and I just haven't met someone that it comes across in a different way. That doesn't, and it also doesn't mean that I'm right every single time, I guess. I mean, there's so many, like, I don't know. Which also comes into play, this thought that I've been having of, like, conviction. Like, how do you speak with conviction? I was thinking about talking to a pastor or something, because pastors, it's like, how do you, like, you know, like, in my spirit, I know, right? Like, I know what I say, I know, I believe, like, sincerely. Not about the Joe Biden thing, because I really don't know, but, like, when I'm in the middle of a reading, like, when it comes to people with dementia, or it comes to people with Alzheimer's or something, I can feel them, or someone who's crossed over. It's like, I in that moment, like, you cannot tell me otherwise. Like, I can feel them so powerfully, so strongly, so intensely, so purely, so true. And yet, afterwards, like, my rationality comes in. It's like, how do I know? You know? Like, how do I switch my mind to just accept that the like, faith? Like, how do you do it? That's something that I am still struggling with right now, I guess. And so, it's not that I don't believe, it's just, how do you, I mean, maybe it is, maybe it's just, maybe that is what it is, that I have to, even in my regular life, I just have to believe in myself, right? Because that's kind of an issue that I've had all my life, is, like, I've grown up in an environment, and I put myself in an environment where I'm always competing, right? Like, my jobs that I've ever had is a competitive environment where people aren't celebrating you. They're trying to push you down. And then, like, my childhood, the same thing. And so, where they just push me down, they try and harm me. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to be in this position, I guess. This is like really challenging. Like the whole psychic work and stuff, it's very challenging for me because I guess I'm always in a state of like having to prove myself in the material world, and then also like believing in the tangible, right? Like having that kind of solid proof, and always being doubted to the point that I doubt myself. That's a whole nother subject. But I don't know, hopefully some of what I said resonates with you or whatever, but that's kind of where I'm at now. I think Joe Biden's dead, and I can't stop myself from thinking that, and I don't know why. And so, like, I don't know how I can be changed, how my mind can be changed about that. I really don't know. I guess I would have to meet him in person and tug at his skin and make sure that it does not come off. And so that's that. And that I, like, when whatever announcements come soon, I'm going to be very hyper vigilant to dissecting the reason why they are continuing this ruse. So maybe it's a political tactic or something. Yeah. Anyway, moving on, before the hurricane gets here, I'm pretty much prepared, but I don't know, I'll probably bake some food, cook some food, and that's about it. Like the food that's here, and then whatever. Bye, guys.